Let's go to the franchise.
Okay.
Okay.
And before that, let everyone know, when did you start this business and what were you doing before that?
Okay. My background is healthcare. I used to work in hospitals, bringing people, patients to a different level of care so they could go home. It's called acute rehabilitation. And I would go to other hospitals and speak to physicians, discharge planners, case managers, physical therapy, occupational therapy, insurance company. So the whole idea was to get, if someone had a stroke or a head injury or a spinal cord injury, that they would go to a different level of care, and independence and learning how to take care of themselves was the goal. And that's truly where I got my foundation of independence. It doesn't matter if you can't move, you're still responsible and able to direct your own care. And that's the same as seniors. So it's just a nice flow. I still carry that philosophy with me today in my office, in my franchise, that our clients want to be independent because they demand it themselves. So that's my background, and how I found Comfort Keepers is I actually got laid off from a job, and it was the best thing that could have happened to me because it has changed my life.
It's a good point for the people who get, in those days, you don't think like that.
Yeah. It was just, everything kind of works out for a reason, but I got laid off from a job, and I had to recreate myself and find some opportunities. And so I heard about Comfort Keepers by word of mouth by another franchise owner, and caring for people in their homes is just a natural fit for me. And I also had a personal experience as well. My own mother at that time was, her health was failing. And in fact, I got my first call when I started my franchise office, and I was actually transporting my mom back home. She was out of state and she was at the hospital, and my first call, I was with her, taking care of her and getting her situated back home after a medical emergency. Mm-hmm. And that's how I found Comfort Keepers.
So you had heard about them before?
I had heard about Comfort Keepers before in my healthcare experience. I just remember seeing the logo. We get a lot of vendors that come by and drop off information, and I remember seeing that logo, the Comfort Keepers logo, and it was a good fit.
Interesting. So what about you, Chris?
Well, it's interesting. I sort of came into it out of adversity as well. My wife and I had been very fortunate in our prior business activities back east. We were able to sell those businesses and were retired in Southern California.
And what was your businesses back then?
I had been a real estate developer. My wife had published a magazine and run a commercial graphic art and design company.
So nothing about the healthcare?
Not in the slightest at all. I mean, real estate development is pretty much the furthest thing away from comfort keeping that you can do. So we were retired, and then when the economy tanked in 2008, we realized that our retirement plans weren't going to work out so well, and started looking for a business to go into. I had the fortunate experience during that time that we were living in Southern California to do a lot of volunteer work, found a great deal of personal reward in what I was able to do working with disabled children and adults. And so when I went looking for a business, I was looking for something that would be a good business, but also allow me to feel a great sense of pride and accomplishment in what that business provided. And when I went online to research different types of businesses that I might be interested in going into, and found Comfort Keepers, which to me offered the ability to do well financially and as a business by doing something good. Mm-hmm. And that's proven to be very true, as Karen said. There's an enormous sense of reward that comes at the end of the day when you think about what it is we've done. We've been out there helping make life better for hundreds of people directly, one-on-one, hands-on, so that they got through a day and it was a better day than it would possibly have been without us. And that's a great feeling. it's a wonderful feeling to be able to do that
Interesting.
on a daily basis, and to have a business out of it that can be a good way to make a living and hopefully build something for the future that you can either sell or make a living in retirement from.
Chris, I'd like to ask a little bit about those volunteer work that you were doing.
There's an organization in San Juan Capistrano called the J.F. Shea Therapeutic Horseback Riding Center. Therapeutic horseback riding is something that a lot of people aren't familiar with, but the horses are unique in their ability to relate to people and in people's ability to relate to horses. They're also unique in that the way they move mimics a lot of what human beings have in their motion. So someone, for example, who's had a paralyzing injury can sit on a horse, and as that horse moves, there's movement fore and aft, side to side, and rotational, all of which mimics the way a human being moves when they try to walk. Those nerves that no longer can help someone walk can still transmit those signals, and it's beneficial to that individual. And it's amazing to see what can happen with all different kinds of conditions that can be beneficial. Both even people. I did a lot of work with children who had autism, children who had a condition called Rett syndrome, and it was truly amazing what could happen as we went through their sessions. Sometimes profound, and sometimes it was just simply that this was the best hour of the week in their life. And every week they and their families look forward to coming in and having that one great hour out of what was otherwise a really, really tough life for somebody. And from time to time, a family would come to you and thank you. And that thank you came from a different place than I'd ever experienced in my life, from anything I'd ever done. And I wanted that. When I knew that I had to leave that volunteer work, it was one of the saddest things that ever happened to me. But I knew that whatever I went to had to have that component to it. I had to feel that in what I did every day. And Comfort Keepers has allowed that for me. It really is a wonderful thing that we do. That can be, if it's your thing, it's a really, really rewarding thing to have.
You were saying that you bought an existing franchisee.
Yes. Yeah, I came to Comfort Keepers in a little bit different way than a lot of people. I looked at Comfort Keepers, did research on the organization, went to Discovery Day in Dayton, and came away from that with a feeling that, as Karen alluded to earlier, this is a great organization. These are great people that are at the corporate level. So it was an organization that I felt I could be very comfortable being within. And at that time, I hadn't decided whether I would open a new territory or buy an existing territory. So as my research went on, I found an existing territory that I thought would meet my needs, and decided to go that way instead of building one from scratch. And had the same experience with the Comfort Keepers organization, that they provided a whole lot of support in that transition to help me first understand what was Comfort Keepers all about, but then all of the basic business stuff. I had a good business background, but the business stuff that comes with taking on from day one, at that point we were taking care of about 150 people in the one franchise. I mean, that's on Monday, you got to make sure everybody gets where they're supposed to be, and you got to make sure people get paid, and you got to make sure the bills go out, the invoices go out. It was a daunting thing, but they were with me every step of the way. They are, and that's a key thing for anybody who's looking at acquiring a franchise. You have to know your franchisor. You have to talk to other franchisees, and they have to tell you things like, I followed what they told me to do, and I became successful. Or even more important, you know, they keep telling me stuff to do and I don't do it, and it's not working out as I'd hoped. But I know if I listened to them, it would work. And that's what I heard when I did my research. Was able to talk to my due diligence of talking to other owners. I heard people say, yeah, it's great. And one guy was really frank. He said, you know, I don't do what they tell me to do, and that's probably why I'm not doing so good.
Yeah. So it's interesting. You came from a healthcare background without any knowledge about business, and you came from a business background without any knowledge on
That's true.
healthcare. So what was important for Comfort Keepers that they accepted you as a franchisee? What were that they were looking into their potential franchisees? I'm sure they have talked with you, they have asked some questions. Do you have any idea what type of people they're looking for as their franchisees?
I can say that they're looking for people who really have, who care, who are gonna, because we work with real people. At the end of the day, we're working with real people, so you have to have that ability to care. If it's to care about your business and how you run your business. And they're looking for people who are business minded. I might not have had the business experience, but I've learned the business. I've learned it very well. And so, they're looking for people who have a business mind. If you don't have a business mind, that you have to be able to like Chris said, willing to learn, willing to listen. And also, I would say you have to be able to be open a little bit, and so you can work together as a team, because it definitely is a team. Working with team meaning the franchisee and the franchisor, that corporate working together as a team is really important as well.
Certainly having a business background is beneficial, some basic business understanding, some of those kinds of things that a lot of people are difficult for them to learn, like some basic accounting skills and those things. Those things are a benefit if you have them. Those can be learned. The part that can't be learned is that you have to have a sense that what you're doing is important and worth doing. And I think they look for that. I think Comfort Keepers franchising looks for that in the people that they bring in. They certainly want people who are interested in growing a business. Right. But in this business, as Karen said, it's people that we're taking care of. We are taking care of them. You have to have a sense that in somehow is important to you as well, or you're not going to succeed in this. It's not just a business where you're pushing a product. You can sell a product, and that's what makes you successful. You have to be able to sell a service, and that service has to be something that engages an individual and their entire support structure, their kids, their friends, everyone who's there as part of their lives. And sometimes that's a real small circle as you get older, but it's still important that we're part of that, and that's important, I think, to Comfort Keepers when they look at someone as a potential franchisee.